Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Thursday, the 15th day of September, 2022, Thursday of the 24th week in Ordinary Time. It is also today, though, the memorial of Our Lady of Sorrows. Again, the day that is the patronal feast day of the Congregation of Holy Cross, brothers and priests, so Notre Dame, all of that, as well as the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. Not because it's Our Lady of Sorrows, but because, well, it is, because it always happens on the 15th, but not necessarily connected with Our Lady of Sorrows. So from the 15th of September to the 15th of October, Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated in the United States. Let's see. There are two readings, of course. Yes, the first reading is the normal continuation of the Paul's letters to the Corinthians. The gospel today is special to Our Lady of Sorrows, and there's a choice of them today. So that first reading from Corinthians. Again, Corinthians continues all this week, and then we will finish with the letter to the Corinthians finally. Paul basically gives the first record of what happened with Jesus' passion, death, and resurrection. And I guess he makes this affirmation statement to the readers in Corinth. The thing about it is that he mentions that after Jesus was raised, again, so crucified, buried, then raised, and then the list of whom and the order in which Jesus appears. First to Peter, who still goes by the name Cephas, Cephas, however you want to pronounce it, by Paul. So it's interesting that Peter may not have been initially changed. His name may have not been initially changed at the moment in which sometimes the Gospels record Peter getting a new name. So he probably was still known as Cephas or Cephas for a number of years, perhaps afterwards. But after that, he appears to the 12, and then to 500 brothers, and then to James, again one of the apostles, and then to the apostles. Now, again, it's always very interesting. Who are the 12 and who are the apostles? They are two different groups, according to Paul, and that's probably very true. That the 12 were the inner circle, but those who we sometimes call them apostles, but that might not necessarily be true. There probably was another group of apostles, and then there probably was another group of disciples. So again, as you moved out from Jesus' inner circle to all of those who were participating in his ministry and in his life, again, you get different kinds of levels, I guess, of closeness to Jesus. But the thing is that, again, last he appears to Paul, and again, as Paul always likes to say, he has worked harder than anybody. Again, if anybody is the greatest fan of Paul, it is Paul himself. He kind of gives this testimony, again, of what what happened after Jesus' resurrection, and the sense in which not just one or two, but there were many people to whom he appears, and shows himself to be truly alive. And so the witness of all of these people making the proclamation of the gospel something that is possible and something that needs to be believed and understood. In the two gospel choices today, we have the first of Mary and John before the cross, and Jesus basically giving his mother to John, basically giving his mother to us, and sharing, again, that great connection, again, that we are part of all one family as believers in Christ. So Mary is our mother too. The second choice is Simeon, and again, giving that kind of terrible, awful foreshadowing of the life of Jesus, that he will be the cause and the rise and fall of many in this world, and a sword will pierce Mary's heart, so the thoughts of many may be revealed, which, is again strange, mysterious, troubling, perhaps, foreshadowing prophecy by Simeon, and yet how Mary suffered in trying to understand who and what her son truly is. And again, there was never an immediate understanding of that. There is some kind of coming to an awareness of who Jesus is. She still remains steadfast, and she still remains trusting that God knows what God is doing, and that God, working through her son, is doing something to change and to transform our existence and our understanding of ourselves as human beings. All of us should be able, to kind of imitate that in some ways in our lives, that through all the troubles we experience, not to see them as things that stop us from being able to live and being able to understand ourselves, but as ways in which perhaps we are challenged to continue to believe in a God who does love us, and to search for those signs, demand those signs, and experience those signs of that love in our lives. And may the Lord give you his peace.